Okay, so as human beings, we were born with a emotional system that came to came into this life to experience certain amount of a connection and love in many different forms, right? So we came in needing to be heard and to be seen and to be loved, and this need for significance and this need for a connection and significance. To put it in a very broad way. And if these needs are not fulfilled and met in many different forms, some of the form is to be heard. I mean, to really be heard, and even the simplest things as a child. You know, when your child, run up to you and show you something that a piece of like a seashell that they picked up and they're showing to you, and they think it's awesome and they want you to acknowledge that. When you overlook that and you don't acknowledge that, the child system registers that as you are not acknowledging them. And so even those little things, are needed from the child. And when the child doesn't get what they need, it doesn't get the acknowledgement, doesn't get the what is that word I'm looking for in this situation? They're not, when they don't get to confirm in that moment that they're awesome. It seemed like a small thing, but emotionally, it's registered as huge, enormous, extreme trauma for the child. Okay, so people need to understand this. So, we come into this life needing those things, but at the same time, our parents and society don't know we need those things, those so-called little things that we need so badly. Because even in that moment when she shows you that seashell and you like, oh, it's nothing, that's neglect for her. And as far as her emotional system is concerned, she's not important to you. That kind of stuff leads to so many to very deep, heavy trauma in the emotional system, even though it seems small. And that kind of stuff leads to all kinds of, number one, it causes the fragmentation, trauma process, and further go on to cause so many different kind of personality disorders, especially neglect trauma and neglect emotional trauma are the worst. So we came into this life needing those things in a time in our evolution, in our evolutionary process going forward, where we're still very premature and still very much in the primitive stages of what emotional health is. And because we're still in that state, right? We don't know that the child needs those little things. And so we come to this life, and the children and the babies come into this life needing that in a world where people don't realize that is needed. And the trauma that it causes is very deep trauma that is overlooked and that is not known. Number one, we don't know that we need it, and so we don't get it. And it's causing deep trauma that causes personality disorders, mental illnesses, psychopathy, sociopathy. And then we have a society where people are just a bunch of sociopaths and narcissists and mentally ill people and a sick, profoundly, I think, what do they call it? A profoundly sick society, like, is it Krishnamurti, I heard, said that. Ralph Smart likes to repeat that. A profoundly sick society, because at home we don't realize that neglect and those little neglect traumas are not small things at all. So this child is coming into this life needing all of that reassurance, needing all of that acknowledgement. And we think those little things, when we brush it off, oh, go have a seat over there. I don't have time now for you, or for your little things. You have to understand, a child don't see little things as little things, because her consciousness, I'm saying her, it could be a boy, but either way, her consciousness, and in this case, like a seashell, then she's showing you a seashell, look how awesome. Or if she picks up, yeah, seashell at the beach, to her, in her world, that's an important thing to her. In her world, what you deem as important, like, paying bills and creating business, that's in your world, in your subjective world, that's important. In a child's subjective world, showing you the seashell she brought to you, that emotionally holds the same kind of a importance emotionally to you paying bills, to you doing important stuff, to you creating businesses. The things you do that cause you to push the child away when she shows you a seashell. The seashell is just as important to that child as you creating a business. Creating a business is to you. And so you see how big that is to you. That's how big it is to her. So when you brush it off, you're telling her that what is important to her is not important to you, which means she's not important to you, which means she don't exist. And that is dangerous. That is dangerous. That causes so many different levels of emotional trauma. Like I said, that causes emotional abuse, and is neglect, which is the strongest, most damaging emotional abuse. And then that child go on to, grow up with this trauma, and at any point during the childhood onto adulthood, can cause so many different personality disorders. These personality disorders that turn people into warmongers, killers, serial killers, shooters, school shooters, you name it.